you have, say, X amount of marketing spend, then how do you want to distribute that spend across various different marketing channels to get maximum sales? Okay. So if I have 100 rupees and I can spend it on, say, a digital ad, a TV ad, a Facebook ad, or some SEO, then how do I distribute that amount so that my sales becomes maximum? So that is exactly what I did at Akshaya. Did that for 2.5 years, worked on machine learning, algorithms, things like that, built a little bit of my technical muscle, and then I wanted to move on. Moving on, I joined Akshaya as a product manager in growth team. It was not a very simple choice. Honestly, I had an option to join McKinsey, uh, doing the same kind of work that I was doing at Akshaya, and then I had an option to join Make My Trip, but that was a product route. And if I thought about it very in a data driven kind of an approach, then honestly, I had all the attributes to be a product manager, but they were not getting used. So understanding the customer, having a technical mindset, being decent in communication. So all that are like some basic principles of product management. And that is why I went into Make My Trip. For the first couple of months, I was doing product analytics. And once I did that, then I moved into the role of a full-time product manager. Over there, I was taking care of the homepage. So basically, as soon as you open the app, the homepage that you see, the onboarding funnel that you go through. So basically, when you open the app for the first time, you're prompted to log in, you're prompted to sign up, you're actually told that what the app is about, what it has for you, and then you are convinced, or the company is trying to convince you to sign up or log in. And that works for both the parties, right? So it works for the company because they get your information. It works for you as a user because life becomes easier for you. It becomes seamless for you. If you have logged in, then once you're making a booking, I think 90% of the fields would be pre-filled. You don't have to enter it manually. So that was one very significant project I worked on. And so I'll give a brief about how the project went, but I'll just move on for now. So yeah, worked on a few of those. And after staying in travel for 2.5 years, I wanted to then take the next leap. So I had explored travel, but I wanted to go into e-commerce. And I also wanted to go in a set or in a company which has more global audience, because Make My Trip is majorly Indian. And that's the reason why all the customers that you are actually trying to hook on are actually Indian. And the mindset is very easy that, so if you're getting better discounts, you'll book Make My Trip. Like, I'm not sure how many of you would book a flight directly without comparing a price at a couple of places, right? So that kind of mindset always stays when you're in India. On the other hand, product in US works in a very different way. Like, those people are actually very, very conscious about the brand that they have chosen. The brand loyalty factor is really very intense over there. And that's one big reason why I took the next leap into Walmart. Like, I had a few offers. I had a Flipkart opportunity, Walmart opportunity, Hotstar, and a few others. But I chose Walmart because honestly, it made sense. And now I have recently joined Walmart. I have been, so over here, I take care of the entire cart and checkout. So if you add any item, then it goes into your cart. And once you have to transact, you have to check out. So the payments is entire part of it. So basically, that's the most critical part of any e-commerce website, because if that fails, then no matter how good your interface is, the payment is not going to happen. So basically, your bottom line is going to go to flush. And so yeah, that's about me. And why product management? Well, it was kind of a simple choice. Customer mindset, going into tech, this is something which is not going to go off for a while. As Hardik mentioned very correctly, that product has seen exponential growth in last, I would say, 5 to 10 years, and it is going to continue for at least next 20 to 30 years. Probably the way of doing product management might change, but the idea of product management is not going to change. So what I mean by that is, earlier you used to do your shopping by going at a store. Now, I think 90% of us on this call would be shopping via a Flipkart or an Amazon. We use Grofers, we use Big Basket, everything is digital. The travel that you used to book used to be via agents. Now it is all via Make My Trips and Clear Trips. So things are moving digitally, and even the most niche fields, like you never thought that a doctor's consultation can happen online, right? But now it is happening. The medicines that you want are actually coming at your home. So this is a journey which we are in, and this is an age of digitization. So everything is going in a digital phase, and that is where it is bound to continue. Now, by saying that, what I mean by the way of product management might change is that currently we are building apps, we are building things that run on our desktop, on our browsers. It might move from a desktop or a phone to probably say an AR or a VR, right? You have a virtual reality goggles right up, and you're shopping over there. But the basic fundamental would not change. You're not going to the shops anymore, right? You're only going to be digitally buying it. So the experience point of view might change, but the entire field is going to stay. And that is what excited me as well. So, well, at this, I would actually open the forum for questions. And the way I'm trying to structure it is that we'll take some time, I think 40 minutes for all the questions that you might have. And in the last 10 minutes, we might just quickly go through a product exercise about how to look things from the lens of a product manager. And I think you'll get some good insights on that. Sounds good?
Yeah, definitely. I will ask everyone to ask just questions, whatever you want to ask. Like if you want to ask personal questions, that is also like he has a lot of experience in brand management and everything and product management as well as his analytics also. So you can ask anything from him. If you want to ask engineering questions like what you used to do in colleges and all, you can ask that also. That I think that will be cool, huh, Harshit? Akshit?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, that part I'll definitely enjoy the most.
uh, so I just wanted to ask, how will you define product manager is in just basic terms, like without using the heavy terms like analytics and all. Just how will you define in the basic terms with some example or anything?
Okay. Uh, One line for it: get shit done. So that's the most basic thing that I can give you. But without using any terms, so actually, product management is a field which is not. If you look at the job descriptions of a typical product manager, they are the most vague job descriptions ever. Because as a product manager, you have to do everything. You have to think from a design perspective, you have to think from a marketing perspective, you have to think from a strategy perspective, then you have to also deal with tech, you also have to deal with the QA, and then you, at the end of the day, you have to look at all these things while wearing the hat of the end user. So this combination is basically product management. You look at everything, but while wearing the hat of product manager.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, while wearing the hat of a customer, sorry, not a product manager.
Yeah. So we have a question here in the chat. How to switch from a core software engineering job to a PM role? Are there any prerequisite experiences, courses you can suggest?
Um, well, honestly, I am not in a very courses kind of like I'm not very aligned or very much inclined towards doing courses. But honestly, as a software engineer, it is actually easier for you to switch into product management. And how is something that I'll go about. So there are majorly two phases of a product journey. The first phase would be strategizing the product, designing the product, creating a high level view of what you want to take to the market. The second part is core execution. Now, as a software engineer, you are already in the core execution because you understand that if a thing or if a functionality wants to work in point A to point B, then how exactly do you go from that point A to point B? And that becomes really helpful to you as a software engineer to transition into product. My my genuine advice to people who are in software and who want to move into product: when you are developing softwares, think about them from the lens of the end user always. Keep asking questions. So I'll give you a very good example on this. So I was in Make My Trip and I was very new to tech. And honestly, like I've done all the analytics, but I've never done coding in that sense that I'll make things work or I'll create an Android app. Now there was a developer who was the head of the analytic of the Android team, and that guy used to ask me, like before even a small project, that guy will ask me like hundreds of questions, literally. Like there would be no meeting that is scheduled for 30 minutes and will go on for just 30 minutes. It'll go on for like an hour at least, and he'll make life miserable. And every now and then, it always used to happen that most of the time he would come up with an insight that would make me think. And that is something that you should be striving for if you are a software engineer, right? If you are making a product manager think about what he is doing, that means you are doing a pretty good job. And that is the stepping stone. Because, see, if you are being told to do something and you're just doing it, and that's pretty unidirectional. If you understand why you are doing that, that insight is very important. And that is what I'll suggest all of you who are interested to move into product to do as an exercise. Yeah, I hope I answer your question.
Uh, uh, I will request if you can switch on your mic and you speak yourself instead of doing a chat, because networking is important and that you will get while communicating by yourself, not from the chat. So we have question from Megha Agarwal. Is MBA necessary to be a good PM?
Nothing is necessary to be a good PM. So I haven't done an MBA. Honestly, I was going to do. So I have a pretty high GMAT. I have a 750 in GMAT, and I was like this close to doing an MBA when I realized that it doesn't make sense. So honestly, if you are a set of people who want to go into MBA, I'll never discourage you. You should definitely go into an MBA because it gives you like a kind of exposure that you are looking for. Gives you a lot of networking opportunities. If you're kind of a person who doesn't talk much, who doesn't network much, I would recommend highly that you go to an MBA college. And actually, I would recommend highly that you start doing it right now. But if you can't do it by yourself, then definitely go to an MBA college. You'll get out with a handful of more tricks up your sleeve. But is it necessary? Definitely not.
We have a live example here.
Yeah, thank you.
So we have a question from Shakshi. What challenges have you faced while aligning your team and networking while pandemic? How is it different from the normal times? So
Uh,
yeah, pandemic for everyone.
I think that's an excellent question, and I am so. First of all, I am really sorry for all of you that you're spending a couple of years in your of your college time at your homes. But at the same time, I do believe that it's an amazing opportunity for you guys to do something amazing. So I'll first answer the question, and then I'll probably move on to that. So, well, it has been difficult, very honestly. So, as I told you, so the same guy that I used to that who used to ask 100 questions to me and would extend the meetings and make life miserable for me. At the end of the day, when we are done with work at 1 a.m., both of us would go grab a couple of drinks, talk over there, and that is like he's one of the very very good friends that I've made at Make My Trip. On this, at the same time, if I'm doing this virtually or remotely, probably he would despise me as much as I would. So it becomes a little difficult. You have to make conscious effort to make relations, to network, which would happen more subconsciously when you are in office. Because when you're in office, you're grabbing a coffee, you see someone else standing over there, and you just go into a conversation. You ask them how they are. You know that what is going on at their homes. If they're not present for a day, you might just ask them what happened. At the same time, on a remote environment, it doesn't, because you call a person only when you have something very specific to ask them. And that is not very healthy from a relationship management point of view. So yeah, how I do it. So well, I try to have as many connects with my team as possible. So I try to talk to my peers and my teammates on a weekly or a bi-weekly basis. So we'll have some team meetings where we'll probably you have an opportunity to grab drink if you want, but you'll connect personally, not just professionally, not talk about professional things, but just try and hang out together. So that's my approach to it.
Networking is an important thing, and you need to connect to your fellow mates. And I have learned this recently only, that how networking is important to you. Uh, so, any other questions, guys? You are free to ask anything.
Hey,
Sir, I have
I'll
a
give
question
you.
that
Sure, sure,
is
sure.
it is required to do a social media handling or other stuff? It is required to do a highly active on social media.
Networking.
Yes, yes, that networking,
um
like LinkedIn
so
or
well
Instagram or any other publicizing platforms.
so honestly, platforms are divided. So a platform which is probably a Facebook or an Instagram is for socializing, not really for networking. On the other hand, a platform like LinkedIn is a professional platform. It's actually made to network, right? So by that, I don't mean that keep posting things, like try and go out to like reach out to as many people as possible via your posts. That is not something I recommend. On the other hand, you do reach out to people and have a genuine word, like just try and understand what they do if you have some queries. So clearly you guys are now in college and you will be thinking about what you want to do next in your careers. So this is a very good time for you to actually reach out to folks that are there in that journey and want to understand that what should you do and what you should not do, or what is the way forward for you uh, to get to the path or to get to the position where they are now. I also understand that it's not a cakewalk. It's not really that you reach out to like five people, five of them would accept your connection request and five of them would reply. But the point is that if you reach out to 10 people, five of them would accept your connection request and two of them would definitely reply. So even if you're going with that 20% conversion, just think about it if you reach out to 100 people or say 1,000. So that is the mindset that you should have. While networking, you can never go on with that mindset that, okay, if they don't reply, then you'll feel like you got ignored. It doesn't matter. People have different priorities. People are stuck in different things. So don't focus on the nine people who did not reply. Focus on that one who did and ask the right questions. And that's really very important. Ask the right questions. So we have a question on the chat. Okay.
Uh,
What does a typical day for a product manager look like? Oh, good one. So depends on the day, mate. I'll begin with that. So as I told you, like a product goes through a very different phases in their entire journey. So while you're in a strategy phase or while you're trying to define the project, then most of the time goes into how you want that product to be made. So you are talking with the design team, you're talking with the UI UX team. UI is the interface, UX is the user experience, the journey. Your time also goes in customer research. So if I am making a product for a US market, which is membership based, which is an e-commerce platform, then I want to understand that people who are on this platform, what are they looking for? What are their challenges? What is their demographic? What is their age group? How do they actually get to, how do they perceive that product? So that's again something that you spend a lot of time on. The other part of that story is when you are in core execution. So when you are in core execution, I would say that 30% of your time goes into resolving conflicts. Now, conflict resolution is again very, very important for a product manager, because you are always going to get, you don't manage anyone directly. So the engineering team would not be reporting to you, the design team would not be reporting to you, no one would be reporting to you. But at the end of the day, everyone would be working on your project. So you have to try and get to things not via uh, authority, but via influence. And that is why it takes a lot of your time. So 30% of the time would go into core execution stuff. 30% of your time should go into analytics, because I believe, coming from an analytics background, it's supremely important to give a lot of time to analytics. And the rest 40% of your time, that you have in your own hands. Now that is up to you, that how do you want to utilize. You can utilize it for forming a roadmap for your product. You can utilize it, and by roadmap I mean, what do you want to do next, what do you want to do next, what do you want to do next, a high level idea of where the product journey is going. It can also go to your next feature. It can also go to networking, for that matter. So yeah, that I leave up to you.
We have a couple of questions on chat. If you can
Um,
read, Akshit.
yeah, so Harshal has asked, how do you deal with imposter syndrome on a new job role or profile? How do you deal with imposter syndrome? Okay, so Harshal, if you can unmute yourself and like elaborate a bit for me, then I'll be able to give you more specific answer.
Yeah, it will be better if you switch on your mic and speak. Harshal. I guess there might be some mic problem with him. Uh,
Okay, Harshal. So whenever you are back, I think you can throw. Okay, I am not in an audible environment right now. All right. So that's fine, Harshal. Uh, well, honestly, I didn't understand this one, so probably I'll park it for later. Once you are in an environment which is more meeting friendly, we can take this up then. Then there is,
you can just elaborate on the chat. We will take the next question till then, if that's possible. We should take a next question. Until
yeah.
then, Harshal will elaborate it on the chat.
Okay. So how can an introverted person excel at networking and marketing? Um, well, I think it's not that difficult. So as an introvert, I would say that I've seen people who are pretty introvert and who are excelling quite a lot in all of these fields, be it product management, be it marketing, be it anything. So it's not really important, or it's not really only about talking to people about your personal life, right? When you're talking about, when you're trying to network, you talk about very specific things. And the great part about this pandemic is that, well, it's a bliss for introverts, by the way. So all you wanted was to be at home. Great, you're at home. All you wanted to do was to be at your phone. Well, great, you're at your phone. So all you have to do is actually just pick up your phone and ask specific questions. It's not really important to be talkative to get into networking or to get into marketing. All it needs is a razor sharp focus and very specific mindset, that what is the problem, what exactly would you like to know, and try and ask that. And one more thing that I would add to, for introverts out there, well, it's I know it's easier said than done, that go and talk to people, but you do have a few set of people that you already talk to. Try and create a habit of going to people and talk. So you can start off with your own peer set, that the people that you talk to, you go about them and you discuss a very particular thing. You discuss that over a period of time. By that, you come to a few things that you would that now you know that this is a specific question. And now you can reach out to those folks who can actually help you out and who are not really someone that you are very comfortable with that very specific question. So it's a path, and eventually you'll all realize that once you go into your professional careers, you will open up in a way which is not really that clear, but you will. And I think if you want to do it, you should start doing it right now. It will require conscious effort, but it can be done. I hope that helps.
Next question.
So we have from Kavidar, sir, if you can suggest any software methods that can help a startup make decisions like a PM does. I really hope that no software comes in in next 15 years who would help you take decisions as a PM does. So, but anyway, jokes aside. So yeah, it's really very basic, I would say. It's very basic that all you have to do is keep yourself in the shoes of your customer, and then try and think that if you were that customer, would you like that? Again, easier said than done to think about this. But what you can do, on the other hand, is actually go to that customer. You have the target audience. Just go to that audience, give them that this is kind of a product that we are thinking about. How would you typically use it? And that is what we call as a design exercise, a typical design exercise. If you guys want to read about it, you can read about it. That would help you or assist you to create something which is more meaningful and which is more user friendly.
Yeah, I hope that answers your question. So next we have question from Sarthak. Say, while being in college, how did you get the clarity to ditch your branch and go into analytics? And also, how did you prepare for the same? Second part, how was your transition from? So let's take the first part, then we will come to the
Okay.
second.
Yeah. So I think a pretty interesting question, and actually, I think all of you would get something to learn from this one. So clarity to ditch your branch. So honestly, when I went into NSIT, I was very much into cars, which I still am. And that's the reason why I took manufacturing process and automation, because we did not have anything like mechanical over there back then. So that was the closest thing to mechanical. After going into college, like for the first couple of years, I really fought hard at it. So I tried to join all the societies which are making cars, solar rickshaws, n number of things. So I tried to learn about suspension, how the chassis work, X, Y, Z. But then I soon realized that this is not something that is sustainable. Like, I am not really good at it. I'm good at solving problems, but do I want to solve specifically this problem? Probably not. If I have a lot of money, I can buy a best car. Would I like to create one? Probably not. So that was my tipping point, that when I decided that, okay, so the branch is good, now let's focus on other things. Why I went into analytics? Well, I covered that part in my introduction, that I was doing marketing for a while and I never really understood what's the impact. Like, I always loved to solve problems. That was one thing that was very basic from the beginning. But data-driven approach is something, and I had a chat with a lot of my like seniors. So I had a lot of chat, and I understood that analytics is something which is going to be useful for you in the coming years, no matter what you're doing, be it marketing, be it finance, be it product, be it even software, be it anywhere, like whatsoever you are doing, analytics is going to play a big role. And that's one big reason why I went into it. So, and hopefully that was a pretty good decision. The second part is solving from client's problem at Axtria, solving a customer problem at MMT. Well, Honestly, I never wanted to solve the client problems, right? So when I was at Axtria, the worst thing about my role was that whatever I suggest to a client, the impact is going to come after, say, 6 months at the least, because that is the time it requires for a marketing plan to roll out to the market and actually collect the relevant data to figure out was it right or not. And in that 6 months, maybe the demographic changes entirely, maybe the customer changes entirely. So all these parts are never really part of the equation because you can't quantify them, right? So that is the reason why I loved the analytics part, but I did not really like the timelines that we used to go by. And that's one big reason why I wanted to get into product, because in a B2C company, the things that you see or the impact that you see is majorly real time. It happens. So as soon as you launch a feature, if it fails, you will see your orders getting dipped right that day, and there will be 50 different escalations that will come to you that why the fuck is this happening? Sorry for my language, but yeah. So those kind of things do really happen. So, and that is something that I enjoy because that gives you the kick to like keep doing things right, to keep experimenting, to keep making things better. Have you ever thought about upskilling or pursuing higher studies? Well, I was this close of doing an MBA, like this close. I did think about it. Honestly, after that, I got pretty good opportunity. I had a work with a lot of product managers who have done MBA, who have not done MBA, both of that. But then I came across a person who really blew my mind away. So this is the guy that I'm talking about is a chief product officer at Make My Trip. Uh, IIT Delhi graduate, no MBA. I think he's around 40, and he's the chief product officer of Make My Trip. So if he can be there without his MBA, and very sorted person. So he was like my plus one. So I had like daily or probably like weekly conversations with him. So that was the person that I reached out to. That said, what do you think? And he gave me like a pretty good gyan on this, that it's good to have. If you think that you're stuck in your career, probably going for an MBA would be a good option. But if you think that you are in the right place and you want to go on with that journey, then probably it makes little sense to go for an MBA. So, for example, product management is a post MBA field. People go into MBA to transition to a product manager. But very few people go to MBA college after or like before, like they were doing product and then they do MBA and they again go to product. So those kind of people are really few. And that was my decision making like framework, and that's what I followed.
Yeah, so I hope that answers all the questions. And we have elaboration from Herschel. I wanted to know how you deal with the learning curve whenever you join a new organization, especially when you join at a senior position in a completely new tech stack.
Excellent, Herschel. Actually, excellent question. So this is something that I've been facing currently. So I've been at Walmart for a couple of weeks now, and cart and checkout is the most complicated system that there can be. And I'll be honest that it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. But how I go about it is I try and understand basic questions. So as a product manager, you'll have to be very much focused on how you break the problem down, keep breaking the problem down till the time you actually reach to a point when you can't break it down further. And from that, from the sea or the ocean that has got created, now you start building up the blocks. It does not matter what tech stack it is. It does not matter at the end of the day that what are you on Azure, are you on Amazon, are you using Python, are you using Java? It does not matter at all. At the end of the day, what matters is how is your data, how is your how are your databases structured, how are they talking to each other, how can you extract that information to show to the end user. That is all the things that matter. So I start off by asking basic questions to the people who are most relevant to answer that. I hope that answers your question, Arshil.
Yeah, we have one more question from Udit Singh. More of a, it's more of a life. Everyone
How do you
faces it
deal
in
with
the life. How would
failures?
you deal?
Good one. Okay. So, well, yeah, you need to take it on your nose and move ahead. Honestly, that's what you need to do. So, as a product manager, it's very difficult to let go of things. Okay, because you're conceiving an idea that this is something that might work. This is something that will work, and then you take it through the entire journey. You put your blood and sweat, and then you get it to the market. And at the end of the day, the customer rejects it. Now you will have that inherent feeling of making it work somehow or somehow not. But at the end of the day, you are building things for the customer. And if they reject it, it doesn't matter how much time you took it to build it. If you invest any more time in it, it's only going to take the time, resources, and money when you can actually work on something which might just turn up better. And that's my fundamental as well. Like I've had product failures as well. Like there was one referral project that I was working on, and I thought that this is something that might really work very well, and we implemented it. Put in like I think 3 to 4 weeks of effort for the entire team. So like that are 20 developers working for 4 weeks. So if you quantify that number, that's pretty high. We took it to the market, and it showed no impact at all. Like the numbers were exactly where they used to be. We made a couple of tweaks very quickly to further try and improve it. Again, flat. At the end of the day, we just had to drop it, and we dropped it. Took it on my nose and moved on.
We have one more question from Garima. I guess everyone wants to know this. Do I need to know coding to be a product manager?
I don't know coding. I'm a product manager. So
Okay.
you need to be you need to be you need to stick to the basics. At the end of the day, coding is no rocket science. It's only following logic, right? If I have this value in this system and I want it over there, but it does not have that value, then what is the primary key? How would I get that from this? It's basically, so you don't need to know how to write it. You need to know if it can be done or not, and how easy would it be to do. So I think that's the more important part.
We have one more question from Harshal. Can you share some insights on what common mistakes do new PMs make, things that they can avoid in their earlier career stage?
Be too sure about what you're thinking. Again, gave a pretty good example of that. That as a product manager, you're very much invested in your product. So don't be so invested. It's fine. Things happen. Things fail. When you're when you're when you're fighting 50 battles at a time, you win some, you lose some. The point is to focus on the ones you win, and to take them take losses on your chin and move on. So that's one thing that I would definitely give insights to the new PMs. The second thing is be very, very data driven. Be as data driven as possible, because when you rely on data, then that's basically what the world is all about. If it is your opinion versus mine, then we are at one on one, right? If there are three people and two opinions are similar and one is different, it doesn't mean the two is right. But when you have a data of like say 50 million people, then you really can't put a logic to that, right? That then the data wins. So yeah, hope that helps, Harshal.
Yeah. Any other questions, guys? I will appreciate if you will turn your mic on and then ask the questions.
Yeah, I think that will be much better. Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah, so hi. So we have been talking a lot. I would like to ask more about question about the execution part. So as an engineer, as a third year mechanical engineer, what can we do? Like you executed as a Red Bull brand manager during your college days. So how did you get that opportunity, and how did you exploit those opportunities to get what you are right now? Yeah.
uh, yes, very relevant question, Naman. So, well, the first thing is network, right? Because only when you network, you get to know the opportunities that are right there in the market. So I'll tell you how I got Red Bull, and that's like the bizarrest thing that will happen. So I joined tech engineering college in Chandigarh for 20 days, and I was over there. And then I came to NSIT when I got a seat. Now that person who I made friends with at tech went to DTU, and that guy got me connected for an interview at Red Bull. So if I hadn't gone to Peck, or had I not been talking to that guy, probably that opportunity would have never came. Right. And that is exactly things are about. When you're doing something, when you're networking, it does not have to be very much, very much oriented to a particular goal. You get to know people from different career paths, and you never know how they might help, or how might they come to help. The second part about your question, how do you execute? Well, I think so. Look at all the entire team which is there, who are organizing this event. You are actually executing, and you are executing pretty well, right? So when you are at this juncture in the middle of the pandemic, I think the best part for you all is to do a lot more things that you could have done when you were sitting at your college. Why? Because I think at least in my case, at least 10 hours of my life was going into my friends. Now, possibly you can't spend 10 hours with your friends, right? Like, do what you can. So probably take the 5 hours out and put it to some internship, learn something new, try to network with people, talk to people, and I'm pretty sure that it'll come to fruition.
So one more question is that, sir,
Sure, Mahesh.
you have told that it is a highly data-driven and job and analytics required. So do the courses or the anything inside learning about analytics will help, or is it required to learn?
Yeah, I think it's a good to have. So, for example, when I was working in Make My Trip, all the analytics that I used to do, I have to do it myself. So I used to do SQL, I used to do R, I used to do Python, I used to do Omniture, Google Analytics, all of that. On the other hand, when I am at Walmart, I have an entire team of analytics who sit right across. So all I have to do is to ask the right questions. You ask the right questions when you have that mindset which is data driven. So if I am looking at a page, and probably we'll jump onto the exercise pretty soon. So if I'm looking at a page, then I would like to understand that how do you see, what are the right questions to ask, right? And it's all about that. If you ask the right questions, then it'll automatically come to fruition. So yeah, to answer your question, it's good to have. I would recommend that you should learn analytics. It's only going to help. Nothing wrong with that.
We have one more question from Akshay. How many hours per week do I have to work as a product manager? I think
I don't
full day you
know.
work.
I've been at Walmart for like 2 weeks, so I'm doing like 15 hours a day. But that depends again on where you are, what you're doing, how you're doing it. It's all about like how you manage. So currently, I've just stepped into the new role, so I'm taking my own time to understand things, and that's why it requires a lot of effort from my end. Once you get settled in, it you can probably time it your way. But if you want to be looking for an easy job, probably like don't look for product job.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Yashiraj.
So before you, we just had a talk with a designer. So she said that every small detail matters in any product. So as a product manager, how do you make sure that the product is up to mark in the design? And how close do you work with the designers?
Okay, good question, Koil. So, well, we work very closely with the designers. So honestly, you have a certain goal in mind, or you're trying to solve a very specific problem. So for example, when I was doing my login project, so the goal was very simple, that you need to make the entire flow seamless, and you need to increase the login percentage. These are the two very specific goals that I'm going to look at. Now when I go to the designer, I tell them that these are the two goals that I'm looking at. Make it easy. Secondly, make it very, very easy for the user. Make it very frictionless. And the third thing, tell the user about why he should log in, because the user would never log in if he doesn't know why he should, right? So those are the things that I would give to the designer. And what design comes up with, I would evaluate that design not on its aesthetics. I don't care what color you have put in. I don't care how the CTA looks like. All I care about is the three questions that I wanted to get answer to. If those three questions are getting covered, we are good to go. If those three questions have a basic problem, then I'll reach out again to the designer. Sometimes it also happens that design have its own thought process, right? So they'll be like, okay, this is the only thing that we'll do, and we'll not do anything other than this. At that point of time, the biggest power you have as a product manager is like, let's do A/B. What is A/B? It's simple experiment. One design versus other design. 50% of the people would be shown one design. 50% of the people would be shown other design. The one which gets me better data is the one that wins, right? Because opinion versus opinion, it's a clash. So that's how we go about it.
Thank you, sir.
We have a question from Garima.
A/B testing.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry,
Yeah, sure.
sorry to interrupt, Hardik.
Yeah, sorry.
A/B testing that we do, that is done in your office, or it is done on at the actual users?
At the actual users. So I'll give you an example. Booking.com has 5,000 running experiments on their app at this point of time. 5,000 running experiments. By that I mean that there are 5 different type of onboarding screen that users will go through before they come to a conclusion that what works, what doesn't. And experimentation is the best way to actually go about things, because that is how you know that is how you get the clear answer, right?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
We have a question. How do I know if I will be a good product manager?
I don't really know. So that's one question that I got in my career as well. So when I switched from Paxria to make my trip, it was a little too overwhelming for me, right? Because I was coming from a B2B space, I was jumping into B2C. I did not really have a very clear idea on how things would be if I come here. And how would I understand the tech? What are APIs? I didn't even know what is API. I'm not sure how many of you would know, but API is basically relatively. So I did not know. So that was the time when I even questioned myself that would I be a good product manager or not? Probably the right answer would be that if you're thinking about it, that's a good start. If you're thinking about it, that would I be a good product manager or not? And if you want to be a product manager, you will take that feedback, whatever is given to you, you will improve eventually. And at the end of the day, I am pretty sure that you'll come out as a winner. Don't give up, keep learning, keep executing, fail, fall, right, rise, and win. That's basic, right?
Yeah, we have one more question. I'm really thinking of switching from a B2B benchmarking product to C product environment. Any tips?
Well, I think there are a lot of startups at this point of time who are hiring in product. So to begin with, you can definitely go from that route. Go to any start applying, start reaching out to people in B2C B2C product roles in smaller companies, and then eventually graduate to a bigger company. Because if you're hoping that probably from a B2C company you'll directly land on to Google, difficult, but or in Amazon. But if you think that you might just come to say a Practo or I don't know, there are so many more, not Cred, but yeah, some others. So yeah, that's more possible.
Anything is saying, will you refer me to Walmart?
Yeah, sure. If I think that your profile is matches to any kind of opportunity that we have, then I'll be more than happy to refer.
We have his link. We will share his LinkedIn ID also on the chat. You can contact him later. So we
Sure.
have. What can I do now if I want to take a college?
Full-time job after college. Well, honestly, I'll tell you to have a lot of internships. Do a lot of internships because all of them count. So you're in a digital age. You guys are you people are in a very good state right now. There are so many people out there who are hiring in product. There are so many companies who are going digital. So there are superb level of opportunities. Just try and keep trying. Go into, like, you'll probably get rejected from 50 companies, but you, at the end of the day, you have to convert just one, right? You don't have to convert 50. So keep trying. And I definitely believe that those kind of internships really help you to learn, grow, and eventually take a role as a product manager as well. I hope that helps.
I had a question.
Yeah,
Sure,
okay.
Utkarsh.
So as a product manager, you work on new problems every day. So also you have very good experience in it. So suppose a problem comes and you know that this problem is already solved by another firm. So will you look at their approach or start building your own approach to it?
Well, before building an approach, there are 5 different steps that you'll actually have to go through, right? And one of them actually covers competitive analysis. So the first approach, or the first thing, would be that why is that problem happening? Is it a problem that is more of a tech issue? Is it a problem which is more fundamental? Is it a problem that is more design related? So you have to figure that out first. The second thing, after figuring out that problem, if it is a design problem or if it is a fundamental problem, then what are your competitors doing to actually fix it? Because product manager is not the most creative person in the room. You don't need to be superbly creative to be a product manager. You just need to be extremely thorough to be a product manager, and extremely fundamental. So that is what you need to do. You need to look at your competitors. If you look at 10 of them, then probably in a couple you would find something which really makes sense, right? And that is what you want to A/B test on. So you get 3 different variants of what 10 out of the 3 good competitors you think are doing, and figure out that what works. And well, that's your way ahead.
Thank you for answering that.
Thanks. Okay.
Any other question, guys, before we move to product exercise?
It'll
If
be
you
a
have time,
pretty
Akshit.
it'll be a pretty short one. So
Yeah.
when we are thinking about analytics, so all the organizers and everyone, so like don't don't be disheartened with that. The only thing that I wanted to do over here is make people think that how data helps, and how you can look things from a customer centered approach, right? So I've joined my phone as well, so I'll just share my screen. Mm,
Meanwhile, if anyone has any question, they can ask.
okay, so let's begin with this over here. Okay, so what we're talking about over here, so I'll give you a brief context. So for this chat, or for this talk, we all received a link which says that some description about the product manager, that what is this talk about. Then it talks about my profile, that what have I done as a product manager. And then it gives me the time when I can be there to get this conversation. And then it gives me a registration link. Now, first question first, how would people, how many people would be opening this link on desktop versus how many people would be opening this link on mobile? And feel free to answer. You guys can comment on the chat, and I'll be happy to take. In my humble opinion, I think that it should be 95 people, 95% people, or 90% of the people who will be opening it on mobile.
Yeah,
So
mobile.
the mobile site that you want to create, so the experience that you create has to be for a mobile site, right? It doesn't need to be on desktop. 2:1, that's also decent. So greater for mobile. Okay. So now I open this, and I reach here. This is okay, still loading. Okay. So now I reach over here. Now what was my context when I was on the message? And this is like fundamental thinking, right? Nothing rocket science. What was my context when I was on that? The context was that there is a chat by Akshit Khandelwal who has done all of this. Where do I land? I land on Lumières 2.0. I see Shiva Balakrishnan, then I see CRM. I see that what all is happening. When is it happening? Okay, I see Akshit Khandelwal right now. Now, what would be my first take on if I want to register? Because that link clearly called out to register, right? So if I see Akshit, I would probably tap on it. How many
Yeah.
people are with me? Okay, so I tap on it. Bum. So I reached on my LinkedIn.